We are so glad that you're here this morning, ready to hear some amazing stories and from this awesome group. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, as many of you know, maybe some of you do not, we took a group of about 92 high school students, college students, and adult leaders to Moore, Oklahoma, the same place that we were at last year. And I'm just super proud of all the work that we accomplished, that these high school students did. I am so proud to know them and to be able to partner with them a couple weeks ago. And so I'm excited for y'all to hear some really amazing stories about the stuff that they did, the stuff that God did through them, and all the different opportunities that they had. As you might have noticed, there's some pictures throughout. That have been kind of going for the last few moments here. And we'll be able to share a little bit more about what those are and kind of what they specifically did. But before we do that, let's begin in a word of prayer, shall we? Lord God, Heavenly Father, I thank and I praise you for this time that we are able to gather together in your name and gather together sharing sharing the story of what you've done through us and in us and with our partners up in Oklahoma. Lord, I thank you for um, everyone here at Concordia that has loved and served and shined and supported these students. And I thank you for these students. I thank you for their hearts. I thank you for their time. And I thank you for the way in which they have loved you and served one another. So, Lord, we give this time to you as we share story and as we celebrate in all that you're doing in this world. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, before we, bring the students up, I want to bring Miss Julie Tucker up, who is our missions coordinator. And without her, missions at Concordia would not really be missions at Concordia. And so I'm going to give it over to her, and she is awesome. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Good morning. Good morning. It's great to be back for at least a few days, and then off we go again this afternoon, as you know. I wanted to first of all thank you all because I know without your love, encouragement, financial support, and prayer support, a lot of the mission work that's taken place at Concordia wouldn't take place. We have many students who just can't afford um, to do the trips, and truthfully, it has a big impact not only on the students that are going. I think it impacts the adults that are there just to see um, the level that our students are able to perform at and the responsibilities that they take on. But it really does impact the communities that we serve in. So thank you again for all your support in that. A neat thing that happened is, you know, all of our mission trips are short-term missions with long-term commitments. So every mission trip that we take is a short-term mission, meaning probably 10, 12 days or less. But we keep returning to the same place over and over and over again. It's the only way that we believe will have a lasting impact and where Christ can be seen more readily, especially in areas where we're not able to just talk about Jesus at our own free will. At Cross and Crown, well, in Oklahoma, we partner with an agency called Next Step Ministries. We've done many, many missions with them. And truthfully, Oklahoma is the first place that we have found that we can combine some of the elements that we enjoy doing and feel is important for the ministry. And the main thing is prayer walking, and we'll have some of the students talk about that at some point. But a lot of our missions, we haven't been able to find a place where we can actually do that. They're too spread out. We can't get to neighborhoods. But in Oklahoma, we've had that. Our other big problem that we have is, as Pastor Ben said, this year we took 92 people on a mission. In truth, it's kind of hard to find lodging for 92 people when we're staying in a church or some other facility. At this point, it has been all church. So Oklahoma has worked out well for that. But the neat thing that happened this year is we work in an area, and we're going to be forming a partnership with a pastor at Cross and Crown Ministries. And I think there was a picture up there, at least of the sign or something, I can't remember, but we'll talk more about that. The pastor there came into a community that was really turned over. It used to be a beautiful neighborhood. The church is beautiful. But what happened is the area just started getting rough and people started moving out. So it was gangs and prostitutes and lots of drugs and other addiction kind of things. And he came in there and he felt God spoke to him very crystal clearly that he's supposed to stay there with a ministry. And what he has done is taken the neighborhood and continues to buy property. Work groups like ours will go in there and we'll help fix up these houses that have just gone down, some of them really bad. I mean, I think you push on a board and some of them just fall off. But he's taken those houses and is completely refurbishing them. And then someone comes in and say you have an addiction, I don't know, an alcohol addiction, and you come in there and you've decided you're done, you want to get clean, you want to get help. He has an amazing ministry where he does food, pantry, medical facility, can't remember some of the other things, housing, helps people detox from their drugs. But what he does is he takes these people, helps them detox, but then takes them further steps. So he helps educate them, helps get them jobs, and puts them in housing. After a certain point, when they have their housing and it's free because he's already purchased all the property, he collects rent from them. But what he does with the rent is just banks it for them. And once they've saved enough money, he uses the money that they've saved, takes them and puts them into a permanent housing. So they've learned how to do banking and all these other things that they just haven't been able to learn because of their addictions. And he moves them into permanent housing, which then opens up that house for other people to move into. So there's families, there's all kinds of amazing ministry going on there. So the eye clinic is something that they cannot get help there with. So this year we spoke to them about bringing the eye clinic there, and so next summer we will be bringing the eye clinic there. And for those of you that don't know the eye clinic, while we do provide eye care and we provide surgery if necessary and get them new glasses for reading or new distant lenses for reading, the main objective of the eyeglass clinic is for gospel proclamation. There are two opportunities when someone comes through the clinic. One would be a large group opportunity where they're sharing the gospel. A local pastor would share the gospel, or one of our pastors would share the gospel with the people there. And then they go around and get some parts. But there's a place called triage where the most important part takes place. And that is where someone from our team, and we'll have our high school and college kids sitting down doing this as well, they will sit down with someone who comes through the clinic and we'll be able to hear their stories, pray with them, share the gospel. And on many of our trips, we have people that convert and profess Christ as their Savior right on the spot. Sometimes we have people that want to be baptized. In fact, on our last mission trips to Costa Rica, someone wanted to be baptized. So a lot of great things are happening there, and Oklahoma will be our ongoing mission site for our mega mission until God calls us somewhere else. But we just wanted to give you that little bit of information because it's pretty exciting news to take place, and that's going to be coming up in the future for us. So again, thank you.
Before we invite all the students to come forward in different ways, there were a number of different groups, about 9 different groups throughout Oklahoma, or throughout Moore and Oklahoma City. We have a little short video, and I gotta head over this way and talk to you at the same time so I can press play. A little short video though of students kind of sharing what they experienced and what they would share with somebody. Basically, the question that was asked of them was, what would you tell somebody else that's maybe hesitant to go on a mission trip? And Adair, are you going to press play? All right. Here's their response.
I'd say definitely come because it's an amazing experience because you really get to work with a lot of people and it's fun working with the local people and hearing the story of the houses and stuff like that. And you know that you're doing like a really good thing and it's really helping people out.
Yeah. Well, you make a lot of new relationships and you meet a lot of new people that you you wouldn't end up meeting on a regular basis. So, I mean, it's a really good experience to go on to find a lot of new things.
Yeah, you get to do a lot of things that you wouldn't just do at on your own. Get a lot of new experiences. And on top of that, I mean, you also build a lot of relationships with your friends and stuff. Especially that's here, and you make a lot of friends and kind of make a church family.
Well, what I would have to say to someone who is hesitant to go on a mission trip would probably be that they should know that it is a huge eye-opener, and they get to experience something that you won't be able to experience anywhere else. Right, Lexi?
That's right. You definitely get to reconnect with God, and it just, the amount of people there for you and everything, you just really get to grasp onto God a little bit harder, and it's just neat to see everyone come together and pray at your age level and just worship God together. So I would highly recommend you going on a mission
Go
trip
to a mission
if
trip.
you're hesitant, even the littlest bit, because it really did change my heart.
I would say definitely go on it because it's a great way to get closer to God and meet new friends and have an awesome week.
Well, I would just tell them that going on a mission trip, it's like something that I love and it's really fun. And it also is another way to humble yourself down and acknowledge that other people are not living blessed lives as we are back at home. Because a lot of us have nice houses, and a lot of the people here they don't really have as much of a house than like that we do, because they're not really well structured. And I'm really glad that we got to work at this house because we're gonna help. We're framing walls and we're putting up a door, and it's been a really great experience meeting everyone in my crew, and it's really fun.
I was a little bit scared at first. I was a little homesick, but then I met some of the college kids. They were really great, and I met my crew. They're really great, and so I would just say go to the mission trip. You can meet new people from different places, different schools. You can even talk about God. You know, even it's not different back. You know, since this will be your first mission trip, and it's always say you should go to the mission trip.
Okay, honestly, like if you're even doubting it, just like stop doubting and just go because it's honestly one of like the best experiences that you'll ever have. Like you grow so much closer to God and like the people around you, and like you get so many more friends, and that's really cool because they're all from different high schools in all different parts of San Antonio. And it's so much fun. Like a lot of people are hesitant because of like the working aspect of it, but like it's so much fun. Like you get to paint everything and like smash stuff and learn about God while you're doing it. So what's better?
What I would tell them is that you're definitely going to meet people. You're going to like them for sure. But if you're worried about not meeting any friends, you're going to meet plenty.
I would say go. Like if you're thinking about going but not quite sure, go. If you're thinking about not going and pretty sure you're not going to go, go. It's just like I've been on 4 of these, and if I were to make a list of the top 5 weeks of my life, these would take the top 4 slots. I mean, they're absolutely fantastic. The first one I ever went on absolutely changed my life completely for the better. And these are just fantastic trips to get closer to God and make incredible friends.
It's the greatest way to see God through the work that we do, through the friends that you make, and just through everything that you encounter. The music. If you're not even if you're like me, who isn't as handy, you'll really get to see that God's working through you when you're doing stuff that you never do in your own home.
If you're uncomfortable or like you're hesitant, just do it because you won't regret it. Like you will make so many new relationships and so many close friends that like you'll have for the rest of your life, and people you can trust. And not only will you get closer to God, but you can have the opportunity to help someone else get closer to God, and I think that's incredible. And it's just an amazing experience, and I would suggest it to anybody.
Well, I'd say that like the food is great for starters, and then like building stuff and destroying stuff is really fun, and then you get to meet a lot of cool people who love you and love the Lord.
I'd say just do it because it's something that will change your life forever, and it's just amazing.
It's a really good experience, and you have a lot of fun and make a lot of new relationships with people.
Well, I was in that same exact situation, so my mom just signed me up for it, and it changed my life, and it's not exactly how you think it's going to be. It's way better.
I would say to someone who's hesitant to go on a mission trip to definitely go. God calls us all to be missionaries, and I think this is an excellent opportunity to do so. A lot of these people come from broken homes and broken families, and we're called in to help them rebuild their homes as well as rebuild their relationships, and it's definitely an awesome experience to see.
I'd just say that it's a really good experience, and you get like God and friendships and relationships, and you also get to serve a community that's far off worse than yours is, and it's a really good experience, and it looks good on resumes if you're into that, and it's just like even if you know no one that's going, you're gonna make friends. Like you're all sleeping in the same place, you're all working in the same place, you're gonna make friends. People are so welcoming in this community, and it's really fun.
I'd say just go on it. It's a whole lot of fun, and it's one of the best decisions I've made in a while.
I'd say you should go because it's really fun. You get to spend time with some of your friends, make new friends, spread the love of God, and help those in need.
Well, this being my fourth mission trip, I've really experienced like a bunch of different settings and environments, but this has been my favorite because it's been the one that I've created like the most amount of friends on, and I've had the most memories to like share with people, and I've really enjoyed myself.
I would tell them to totally go for it, and because it doesn't only help the community, but it helps yourself. It makes your self-esteem go up so high to see that you can help people in just a small acts of kindness and and being generous and such. And also, it's just a great positive outlook, and you get to build so many great relationships, and it's so amazing.
Something that I would say to someone who is hesitant to go on the mission trip is that they're fun. You get to spread the love of Jesus, and you get to meet a bunch of new friends, and you get to go a lot of places that you've never been before.
Well, try it. Maybe you'll love it. It's a great experience getting to help people, and it's not just that. We have great fellowship time with each other. You get to bond well. You get to learn more about God, and get to strengthen your faith.
I would say it's totally worth it. It's fun. You get to meet new people. Your faith with God gets to grow, and you get relationships with people that will last forever. And you get fun stuff, building places, and just it's a blast.
I would say the mission trip is a good chance to make some new friends, challenge yourself a little bit, go out of your comfort zone. Um, I don't know. It always seems to exceed expectations.
Yeah, I would just say it's a chance for a lot of really positive things to happen. You know, you're around positive people, positive influence. You have constantly talking about God. It's a good time.
I would tell them that it is one of the most incredible experiences. You make so many new friends, so many new relationships are formed, and you get to serve God. So, what's better than that?
Let's give them a round of applause. So now you all know why you should go on a mission trip. Or if you have students or family members that are possibly maybe in high school, or we have mission trips for folks of all ages. So now you know why you should. But now what we're going to hear from is we're going to hear from our students of what specifically they did. So we kind of have a picture of, okay, well, what does a week kind of look like? And to do this, since we were going to bring up each individual group because we had 92 folks. But what we're going to do, since we don't have quite all 92 of them today, we're going to bring them up in two different groups. And so one group is going to be the group that was at the school. So if you were at the school, if you guys could come forward right now, and I'll explain kind of what y'all were doing. So as Julie mentioned earlier, we partner with ministry at Cross and Crown Ministries. And Cross and Crown Ministries Pastor Paul does all those things in this community. Right now, their organization is working out of a 5,000 square foot building. So that's a pretty small old church that they're using to do a ton of different ministry. Pastor Paul just recently bought a 30,000 square foot school building that was built in about 1910. And so it's like a bomb shelter. It was a pretty thick building. And so we had about three or four groups? 3.5. There were a couple of days when it was raining, there were other folks that joined them. And there was probably maybe 30 to 40 of them at the school, and we have 6 of them here, 6, today to tell you a little bit about what they did at this school. And you might have seen a couple of different pictures of the big brick building. That's the school in which they were at. So if you guys want to kind of get in a line here, maybe, and then we'll kind of go down the line and kind of share maybe what you did and what you enjoyed and what your experience was. We'll start on this side here. But first, before you share what you did, also we need you to share your name too, so everybody knows who you are.
I'm Logan, and what my group did was we were putting in floors and all the broken down. We put floors in 3 rooms from the building, and we also helped a little bit with the demo. And we went prayer walking and talked to people along the streets, giving them prayer bracelets and praying with them, and it was a good time.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I went to the school, and we pretty much just did like demo every single day, and we got to go to this church called Cross and Crown every day as well, and I got to meet like so many new people, and it was really like touching because there was a lady who was singing in Spanish, and it was really, really powerful.
My name's Garrett, and what we did was we did we put down new floors, we glued the floors. On some occasions, we'd go help other groups finish up. We almost got 3 rooms done within 3 or 4 days, and like like they said, we went on prayer walks and we went to this Cross and Crown Mission Church, and it was just cool to see how much the guy that ran the church cared for everybody there. So, yeah.
My name's Kira. During the mission trip, my group did a lot of demolition. We broke plaster off the walls and like moved that out into the dumpster. We cut bushes in the front of the school to make it look nice and welcoming for the community. We visited Crossing Crown Ministry. It was a really powerful service whenever we went. The lady who sang in Spanish had a beautiful voice. Back to the school. We had a room full of ceiling tiles, and it was almost to the ceiling, and we separated the metal from the room and threw the ceiling tiles out into the dumpster all in one day, and that was probably our biggest accomplishment.
Hi, I'm Karen Fraley. I was in a crew with Kira, and I can tell you as an adult watching all these youth, they are an amazing, hard-working group of kids because this was very labor intensive on the job sites. And they just continued on and never gave up. And there were some really difficult jobs that they were tasked with, and they were ready for the task. And we were very fortunate. We didn't have any big injuries, but these kids were amazing to watch and amazing to watch them grow in their faith and to watch these kids reach out to the community. As we would be working at the school, we occasionally saw people walk by, and so we took that opportunity to go and present somebody with our salvation bracelets. And the kids just jumped in, explained the meaning of the salvation bracelets, and a couple of gentlemen that had walked by that we had that opportunity to share our faith with and our bracelets, then asked, do you happen to have anything to eat? And several kids just ran and to get them food and bottle of water. And so the compassion watching these kids grow and share their compassion and love for Christ was beautiful to see.
Hi, I'm Michael Parkman. I don't think anybody's talked about the background of the school. Paul, the minister at Cross and Crown, it was very important to him that the school, which had been abandoned, we were told since the 1960s, just been sitting there as a big eyesore. And the school district finally got tired of messing with it and maintaining it and repairing broken windows and everything. So they decided to put it up for auction. And Paul thought it would be very important to keep this building from falling into the wrong hands. And so he put together a group of folks to raise money to put in a bid himself and was able to secure the winning bid. And what he told us is that if he hadn't won the bid, the person who likely would have won it would have brought in all kinds of drugs and prostitution, and it would have just been a huge um, setback for the neighborhood. And the few people that haven't abandoned the neighborhood yet probably would have, at least the ones in the streets immediately surrounding the school. So his comment to us was that even if we didn't do a thing, the neighborhood was better off just by virtue of the fact that the church now owned the building. But I think this is probably going to be a 3 to 5 year project. This building hadn't been occupied for decades. There were writings on the chalkboard from decades ago that had just been sitting there. A lot of the work now is in the demolition phase, but I would imagine in the coming years we're going to be actually putting stuff back together. The kids work incredibly hard. It's an amazing thing to see what happens on these trips every year. Young Olivia down here, it's amazing to watch these young folks how comfortable they are walking up to complete strangers and beginning to share their faith with them. And she was awesome at that. Uh, Time and time and time again with people she had no idea who they were, just walking up and sharing the love that's in her. The evening worship time is an amazing thing. I can tell you, both my kids have grown up with these mission trips. I don't think my daughter really was very excited about going on her first one, but decided to take the plunge and go anyway. That for her was the very first step in what has become a great faith walk for her. And Austin was on the video, my son, and he's the one that said, "Go. If you don't think you want to go, go." These things have been formative for him, and so I would just encourage anybody who knows young folks out there who are looking to have a great experience. This is a chance in many of these kids' lives where it is the first step in what will be the faith walk that lasts them the rest of their life. So it is a profoundly important experience that they have the opportunity to participate in. The evening worship with the music, watching what happens with these kids from the first night to the second night to the third night, watching them come together, watching them sing together, watching them begin the process of locking arms and swaying back and forth. As an adult, being able to watch that, it's a really cool deal. Now, I have no discernible construction skills at all, so I usually wind up in some kind of demo project where I'm tearing something down because I don't know how to build anything. And for those of you who are like me and don't think you're qualified to be on one of these trips, go. It's one of the coolest things as an adult you will ever see, to see what happens over the course of this 4 or 5 days that these groups come together. And one other shameless plug, I am also involved in the retreat ministry. If you hadn't been on one of the STARS retreats, very similar kind of experience, a little bit different setting, a little bit different around the edges, but the impact on a faith walk is profound, and the number of people that you get to meet is amazing. And so if you hadn't been on one of the STARS retreats yet, I'd encourage you to go and just take the plunge. Just go, like Austin said. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Or you guys can head back to the side if you'd like. But before we bring up some of the other groups, I just want to say that one of the biggest strengths of the mission teams and the experiences, the years that we've had, have been the selfless and amazing parents and adult volunteers that have given up a week of their summer, many times taken a week off of work, taking their summer vacation to invest in these young people. Students, how many of you guys liked and got to know your and loved your adult leaders? You can clap for them. Clap for them. Woo! There you go. Yeah, these guys are awesome. I'm just so grateful every year to recognize who God provides and how God provides through y'all. So those of you guys that are adult volunteers and those that sacrifice those weeks, we thank you so much. Couldn't do it without you. And if this is something maybe has been put on your heart to say, you know what, I might be able to do that in next year or years to come, talk to myself or to Julie. We'd love to get you involved and connected to these awesome young people and to this ministry. You know, throughout this week, this is a different week than normal weeks throughout their summer, right? Throughout my summer as well. They wake up pretty early in the morning to, I don't know if some of you, Julie posted a video of how they wake up in the morning. There's, pots and pans and different songs. And what was the one song that came in? Popular music songs that I don't know. And come in and wake them up in the like at 7 a.m. real early. They're groggy, but they're ready for the day. We wake up, we have breakfast, we have devotion, and we go out. And then we go out to different spots. We get on buses. We go out to different spots. A lot of the folks went to this school in which these guys were talking about. And this school is Ministry of Cross and Crown, that because they outgrew their other place, now they're building and they're oh, Brian, you too. You were at Cross the Crown. There you go. All right. So, and another one of our adult leaders, adult volunteers. Awesome job. They laid an entire floor. They demoed and then laid an entire floor. And the girls in your group were pretty hardcore, from what I remember. That's right. um, but it's a long day of work, right? But in the morning, in the middle of the day, and at night, kind of like meals, we feast on and we digest the Word of God. We have morning devotion, lunch devotion, and evening worship. And this is something that probably most folks don't do throughout their normal week, but that was something that I think for all of us really does you feel the difference. You recognize that when you're in God's Word, God fills you. And so, and then through that filling, then you're able to overflow to other people. And that's what these guys did. And I'm so proud of them. But what we're going to do, since I think that was only 6, so we have 2 other groups. I'm going to bring up 2 other groups right now. I think that's group number 3 and number 5. The 2 other ones around Ministry of Cross and Crown. Is that 3 and 5? 5 and 4. Oh, 5 and 4. Three is at the Sparrow House, I think. So 5 and 4, 4 and 5. Are there anybody from Crew 4? Okay. Anybody else from Crew 4? This is all 5. Is there anybody from Crew 4 here today? Guess not. Well, this crew is known as the man crew. These guys are men. These guys work. These guys are this is the hard-working workhorse crew, and it's led by their fearless leader Mike Beers. So I'll give it over to him.
Oh, Mike Beers is my name. Anyway, we have a crew here. We have a fine crew of guys, and I'm telling you what, you talk about hard workers. It rained. It was hot. It was muddy. And the worse it got, temperature-wise or weather-wise, the harder they worked. They just never gave up. It was dusty with the demolition. It was just terrible. We did a little bit of on-site engineering with some big, heavy piers holding up 1/4 of the house that we jacked up. And it was quite an experience for us, and we learned a lot. I learned a lot from these folks every year, and I don't think I'll ever be too old to be mentored by these guys spiritually and how hard they work and everything. It's really a great experience for me. This is my 5th year. I don't have a child involved. I think I'm too old for that. Right, Nancy? Okay. So anyway, you don't have to have a child that's involved or that attends these things, but if you have some time and if you like Mike Parkman said, if you've got a free time and you want to serve, I mean, serving these folks out there, serving God, and it's such a great experience for me. And I'm looking forward to next year. I'm retired now, so looking forward to this coming week with the junior high folks, and we're really going to have a great time. And I'm really looking forward to next year because I learn something every year, and it gets better and better. And I'll let these guys tell you what they experience.
Hi, I'm James, and about this mission trip, it was a great experience. As Mr. Mike here said, we were doing some work on this house in the back of a house, rebuilding some concrete pillars and working on this small room inside, just doing some demolition. It was really fun, and so in the morning, like around 9 ish, 9:45 ish, we would start working, and then like around 10:30 we go to a devotion at Cross and Crown, which was a great experience. And then right after that, just seeing all these guys just getting right back to work and just working hard till it was time to leave. And what was just great about it was just this house built during, if I remember, 1905. A very old house, and it was just nice just hearing the history about this community.
I'm Mike. I spent most of my day underneath the house that was jacked up by an air compressor covered in mud. Um, and I did a little bit of demolition. It's a good trip. You all should go.
Hey, I'm Ben. Things were destroyed, memories were made, and all in all, it was a good time.
I'm Matt. Some of the history of our house is that it is right across from Crossing Crowns Church, and it is right next to the youth uh, center that they have. And so it had previously been a drug house, and it had some of the youth would walk across or right next to the youth center, and they could buy drugs there. And so that was one of the reasons that we were fixing it, is so that that couldn't happen, and so that it would fix up the area right next to the church.
Hi, my name is Matt Sandoval. We had a really good week. We not only do we have a bunch of workhorses here in our group, we had awesome leadership. Everyone participated. I don't think anyone complained one time. Um, it was a good week. So we poured a lot of concrete. We did a lot of demolition, and overall, we just made a big difference. There we go.
Hey, I'm Nick, and we actually weren't working with them. Us three were starting to build a deck in someone's backyard. So that's what we did. And one of the things I really love about this trip is that it's a real eye opener because when you go back home, you really appreciate your family and all the things that you have because the Lord has really blessed me and more than others, and I really get to see that on these trips.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. We worked on the deck, and what I loved about this trip is I got to build a lot of relationships with really good people that also believed and loved God, and it was just really amazing to see that. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Steven. I've been on a lot of these trips now. I think I'm up to 9. I started back when I was in high school with, um, and it's really fun seeing all the kids come back year after year, figuring out, the freshmen figuring out what they're going to do here, and then the seniors, we know how this works. Let's help everyone out. It's really cool seeing how they all work together and get everything done. It's a really cool experience.
Right. Thank you guys. And so these folks, along with the last group that came up, these guys were all in downtown Oklahoma City. So I know in previous, I know it's a mission trip to Moore, but Moore, hit by the tornadoes 2 years ago and last year, actually has cashed in on a lot of their insurance, more so than places like Joplin or New Orleans. And so there's a lot of rebuilding that's happening in Moore, and there's still stuff to do, but there's a lot of stuff that we can do and that Next Step, and we're partnering with them, can do in Oklahoma City. So it's been a really kind of a fun experience watching watching it grow and watching the community kind of be rebuilt back up again. And so, but we do have a few other groups that were in other places, not just downtown Oklahoma City, and not just working with Pastor Paul and Cross and Crown Ministries. And so those folks that were not there, the rest of the people that have not yet been up here, come on down. And actually, I've been told, let's have you come up top here so you can, since there's like light and stuff, I'll move this out of the way. And we can kind of come across the front right here. You guys can come in the light. That'd be great. So people want to see your faces. Right? I think so anyway. Yeah, okay. Here we go. We'll start on this side over here.
Hi, my name is Aaron Ryder. I am one of the 2 seminary interns that's been here for most of the summer, and I get the unique, opportunity to give an outsider's perspective on this. And so I can definitely affirm a lot of the great things that were said about the group, both the kids and the adults. Really hardworking, a lot of good relationships are formed, and various other things like that, learning, growing. And the one thing that I want to talk about, because the rest of my group, or the group that I was with, and the other groups will certainly say more about the specific locations. Um, but I wanted to reiterate what Pastor Zach said, and that was that we spend a lot of time in the Word. And I'm truly convinced that that is the reason that these trips are so powerful, because we get up in the morning and we spend time in devotions, and then we do work together as a group. And then we go, or we sit down and have some lunch and spend some time in some devotions, talking about and sharing the Word again, and having conversations that we don't generally have, deepening our faith and things like that. And then in the evening, we gather together for worship. And so throughout all of this, there's time in the Word, more time than most of us spend on a daily basis. And that's the transformative power, and I've seen it working all throughout these trips. So thanks for the opportunity.
Hi, I'm Amy, and when I was on the mission trip, the house that we got to work at was this lady named Linda. And when we were at Linda's house, we basically helped scrape off the popcorn ceiling, and we replaced the window panes, and we pulled a lot of weeds because a lot of her yard was just filled up with weeds, and we helped with that. One of the amazing things that I saw while I was on the mission trip was that we gave Linda one of the prayer bracelets. We gave her a few of them, and then later she told us that she had given the other ones that we had given to her family. And I thought that was just really amazing, seeing that we were showing her God and that she passed it on to other people.
Howdy, I'm Amanda, and I was with them at Linda's house for 2 of the days, and then we were at the school for the other 2 days because of weather. It was great working with Linda. She obviously had had a very hard life, but she came and participated in our lunch Bible study, and she was very excited to have us there, so that was awesome. A quick little story that really impacted me. I'm a college leader on these trips now. I think this was my 7th trip. So this one was a little different for me, just a different mindset, I guess, of letting the kids do more of the work and kind of showing them the way. So one of the last days we were there, we were working all day, and across the street there were these younger boys and a little girl playing soccer in their front yard all day. And so finally, towards the end of the day, I just brought it up to the kids and suggested that they walk over and give them some salvation bracelets, not knowing how the kids would feel about that. But immediately, 4 of them were up and wanting to go across right away. And one of the main boys that did it, he's not here today, but he really had an impact on my life because he walked over to the other side of the street to these young boys, and instead of being nervous and just immediately going, I have a bracelet for you, can I tell you about it? He really stepped back, introduced himself, asked all the boys their names, and had a conversation with them before then giving them the bracelets. And I think that was just so awesome because I think the boys appreciated it a lot more after having had a conversation and seeing that he really cared about them. So that's just something I took away. It was awesome seeing those kids being so eager to share the word.
Hi, I'm Austin. I really wasn't a part of their group, but the house we worked in was they were trying to create. One time they tried to create a gym, and then the other time they tried to create a TV store, but but really it was just like a front for a meth lab, actually. And the meth lab was in the storm shelter right behind the house. And but we really didn't get to go see the meth lab, which I was pretty upset about. So, but that's what we worked on.
I'm Veronica, and we were working on the Sparrow House, and well, this house had the meth lab, and yeah, and so after we were working on the house, putting up walls, and we got to go on a prayer walk, and we got to meet a bunch of other people who wanted to profess their faith a little when we were giving them the salvation bracelets, and yeah, that's really it.
Yeah. While we were working on the house, our group, we were in two little subgroups mainly. One group was demolishing the garages that were there for a time so that we could put in new walls. And we could see across the street that there were constantly a lot of people walking by. So I personally didn't hand out any bracelets, but a lot of people in our group went over and gave them bracelets. And it was a nice experience.
I'm Cassie. I was also in this house with these guys. Um, I think my favorite part was definitely demolishing the garages. That was fun. And then also we built, it's like a huge garage, and they were building like a wall down the middle so that they could house refugees that were through the Sparrow Project. And so we were building this wall, and then we also built these, what were they called? Headers. So we built those, and I was kind of like in charge of that, and I completely messed them all up. And so the patience of my group was really awesome, and I just loved my group this year, and it was a great time.
Hi, I'm Lexi, and I worked with Grant and Austin, and we worked at a house for Miss Anita, and we did a lot of drywall and a lot of sanding and mudding. And I think the best part was probably devotions and just getting closer with everyone, especially on the prayer walk. So it was a great experience.
Hello, I'm Dalton. My group was Crew 9, and we were split into two different mini groups. For one of the groups, we were basically filling in a large hole that was washed away from the rain. It was clay under a lady's house named Sandy, and we had to take this clay dirt mixture and mix it with concrete, put it in this large hole, mix it up, harden it and stuff with a temp, and then Ethan here is going to explain the other job.
So our crew, this lady, she had a little creek near her house, and there was trees and logs. They'd fallen over during the tornadoes that had happened, and so we were taking them out of the creek, and then we were also clearing all the small little shrubs, and we cleared up all the water, or made it so that the water could flow.
Hi, I'm Austin. If you don't know me, I'm the doofus whose phone went off over there. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, this trip was fantastic. It was my fourth mission trip, and on the past three, I had always had a bunch of my friends from school and a lot of the guys that I knew on the trips with me, and so I just always had them around. But this trip, a lot of my friends, at least like the ones that I knew really well, they couldn't make it, and so it was just really interesting and fun to get to know a lot of the younger people who were new to the mission trip, and just learning that this group of people, like all of these guys here in this high school age who go on these trips, they are just an outstanding group of people. I mean, it's awesome. And so, yeah, it was a great trip.
Hi, I'm Grant. My group did lots of drywall and mudding and sanding. We had a joke. It was about 15 strokes per square inch, each with mudding and sanding. We probably mudded the house and sanded the house like 5 times in one day. It was insane. But the trip itself was great. It was a major faith boost, and it was cool getting to meet so many new people.
Hi, I'm Chris, and like one of our group members said before, I was helping fill in a hole under a house. It was a lot of hard work, but great relationships were made.
All right, I'm Ethan, and it was really hard work at first, but it turned into fun because I was going closer with my group, and it just was really a fun time.
I'm Jacob, and I was in the group with these two and Braylee over there, and it was just a great time. And when we worked with in the sewage and with all the debris, where the creek and the runoff, just a great time trying to get all the logs out. A lot of hard work though.
I'm John Swisher. I worked with these guys on Crew 9. For the record, we weren't in sewage. It was just a creek, river runoff. But it's a great team. And you really can't see it from the pictures, but this creek runoff was to help with flood control. And when it gets down to the bottom, we're pulling out logs and things. Some of them hold trees, it seems like, roots. And I hadn't actually seen it until the last day. I'd seen it, but not worked on it. And while we're working on it, Sarah Valley, the other female adult, leans over and tells me, well, this isn't as wide as it is. It was about 10 yards wide. And I said, what do you mean? This is the width of it. She said, no, we're standing on like washed up dirt. It needs to go back about another 10 feet. And that just gives you an idea how much water and how much dirt move through the area when these storms come through. The guys doing concrete, what they failed to mention is they're mixing this clay and dirt with concrete, but there's no water. They don't need it. There's so much water saturated into the soil and in the air that they have to mix it dry, and then it actually solidifies into concrete later. And that's a hard task. If you guys have ever done something like that, mixing concrete without water is daunting. But these guys, they really get into it. The whole team gets into it, and they love the project that they do. They don't just love the work, they love the area. So much so, on the second day, because of rain, we went to the school. And I've never heard a group of high school kids say, hey, the school was cool. I know we did a lot of work on that, but could we go back to shoveling dirt tomorrow? It's really weird, but it just shows you where their hearts are. Some of them might have said things like, they messed up or we did it wrong. And I don't believe that that's true. I believe what happens is we find different ways to accomplish the task. Some might take longer than others, but it doesn't mean we made a mistake. It just means we took our time. Overall, if you guys are thinking about going on a trip, you should. These kids are awesome, and they really pour out their hearts for it, and they'd love to get to know you.
Thank you, guys. You guys can head back to the side over there if you'd like. So yeah, these were all of our kids, representing all of our kids' groups doing various things throughout Oklahoma. And I couldn't be prouder of them, the hard work that they put in. But also, so throughout the day, we worked, right? But then at night, we played soccer. They were still, how many guys played soccer? There you go. See, those guys have unbelievable energy. It was awesome. Soccer or other things. But, and maybe you saw a picture throughout the week, we recognize that we are baptized children of God, that we are renewed, that we are covered in His blood and given His Spirit. And it's through His Spirit that we have the power to do whatever that He has called us to do. And so at the end of the week, there were a number of different students that actually came up to me and said, hey, Pastor Ben, can I reaffirm my baptism? And I'll tell you at the moment, and I don't know if they knew, I got chills and I almost started crying. They didn't. I held it back pretty good, I think. But so then we opened that up in the final service for the night for the week. Say if anybody would like to reaffirm their baptism, kind of like what we do on Jubilee Sunday, to reaffirm their baptism. And there was a line of students and adults that came forward and reaffirmed their baptism, reaffirmed that they are children of God. And it was a pretty amazing experience, an amazing week. I couldn't be more proud of them, and just grateful to God for the work that He did in me and in our group. And I thank God for these trips. I'm looking forward to one later on today and this week. But at this time, what we're going to do is I'm going to have Julie come back up here, and we're going to open it up for some questions. If there's any questions that you have for us about anything that we've done, I know you kind of got smatterings of story in terms of what these students and adults did. If there's any questions that you have specific, and you can even, if your student is here, you can pick them out, and I'll go take the microphone over there and find them for you if you'd like. But any questions? All right, you guys are pretty comprehensive. No questions. Nice job. Well, again, I want to thank you for spending this hour with us as we were able to share some of the stories of what God was doing through this awesome group. And as they said, and as I'll say, and as Pastor Tucker says, and as we say here at Concordia, if you have not gone on a mission trip, I highly encourage that you do so. Adult leaders, how many of you adult leaders, this was your first mission trip? I know one. Was there another over here? No. If you've never done it before, I promise you, you won't regret it. Did you regret it? Not a chance. That's right. Well, we're going to close. We're going to close in prayer. And if you have any questions specifically for our students, or for myself, or for Julie, or for any one of our adult volunteers, feel free to ask us. And then we'll let you go. Let's pray. Lord God, Heavenly Father, I again just thank you for the amazing week that we had in Oklahoma, for the week that you prepared before we were even there, for the week that you knew the work that we would do, and the way in which you would work through the people around us. Lord God, I thank you for our Concordia family who loves and supports its students and mission. Lord, I praise you for your strength and your grace and your heart that is among this place, that we're able to do those things, to make your name known among all nations, among here in San Antonio and Oklahoma and around the world. Lord, I praise you and I give you glory, and we ask for your continued strength and presence as we continue to fulfill your commission. Lord, we give you glory and we ask for your grace. In your name we pray. Amen. All righty.